got nothing to lose, I'm all in. Walking the edge, don't fall in.
We've got nothing to lose. We're all in. The time is ours, and we're changing. Amazed, surprised, transformed with no compromise. This is the Game-Changing Podcast, where people deserve to win, where magic moments shape our destiny, and where insights from the world's greatest performers in business, sports, and personal development bring you to the edge and change your game. Please welcome your host, Anissa Acker.
Ta-da! Today, guys, on the Game Changing Podcast, obviously it's Anissa, the host. More importantly, though, we have Traci and Super Dave here. Believe it or not, you want to talk about game changers? Holy hell, they're in an industry that has changed the entire industry, and the only way for an industry to be changed or a company to be changed is for it to have some true game changers inside of it. And that's why I'm here with Traci today and Super Dave. They actually are a part of a company called EXP. Some of you may have heard about them, some of you may have not, and some of you may have misinformation about them. So I'm here today to get the story straight, because when you want to talk about game changers, well, I'd love to share their story with you, but they're better at sharing it with you. So today, here they are. Traci, Super Dave, welcome. And please, let's share with the audience a little bit about yourself, your company, and all the good juicy stuff today. Right, we're going to open up your playbook so that they can get inside of it and win alongside you. Your turn.
That sounds awesome, sweetie. Thank you so much for allowing us to be a part of this game-changing podcast. You are such an inspiration, and it is a blessing beyond measure to count you as a wonderful friend, and you have inspired and helped and supported so many people, and I know that that is really your life's mission, to help people become free, to become the best versions of themselves, to be emotionally free, financially free, spiritually free, and to follow the path of service and love. And love you, appreciate you, and so excited to be here.
Well, and thank you. What about you, Super Dave, a little bit, please? We're going to chat. I love how Traci praises me, and I'm here to talk about her and you. So thank you, but I'll take it, right? I'll take it, yeah, because I'm always going to ping it back to you. So Super Dave, let's talk about you and why we're here today, what the listeners are going to get out of this today. And why it's important that they keep listening.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, my story is I got the first phone call about EXP, and they were very, very young at the time. They were only open in 14 states, and none of them really around me in the Northeast. And so when I got the call, you know, I started doing my little research and seeing where they were and all of that. And really a non-player in the world where I was. And so I politely said, thank you, but no thank you. And that was the end of that. And I was fortunate enough that I got a second phone call as a follow-up. And Jason was very creative in helping open my mind to at least a 15-minute conversation. And so that 15 minutes turned into 2.5 hours. And I joined, my agent number is number 123 in the company. And we're only in 14 states, right? So, but because I had an open mind and because Jason was willing to share the facts that were important to me, then I could really make up my mind with the facts. And that's what I always tell people to do, is don't say yes or no without having all the facts, because that would be fiscally irresponsible. And it's okay to say no, just understand it fully. And the other side of it is, I think most people who understand it fully make the move over.
And you know what? Let's open it up a little bit more, because on many of our listeners, until we became family, I'll just say, Traci and Dave, I had no idea what EXP was. I had no freaking idea. So even now we're talking about it, and it's world changing, right? Game changing for so many people at so many levels, for stay-at-home moms all the way to people who already have careers. I mean, it's game changing, but what it is people don't know, right? Tell them. Obviously, it has to do with real estate, but please share what, because like you just said, Dave, open to listen, right? So they can make their own decision, but they have to be open to listen. So please share, because Traci, I've seen it 3 times with you, and I'm like, oh, I got to get my real estate license. Oh my God, help me out here. So trust me, guys. Hence why we're chatting today. I've seen it 3 times, and I'm like, okay, holy shit, everybody has to hear this. So please, y'all, I don't care who tells the story. Traci, Super Dave, y'all share the story, please, but tell the story.
Well, so Dave and I both come from an extensive real estate background. Dave's been licensed since George Bush Sr. was in office. I've been licensed since Clinton was in office. A really long time. And I previously owned the 4th largest Century 21 office in the United States. And I was blessed to sell that about 6 weeks before the market crashed in 2007. So I had while every other real estate company was going belly up, and most of my friends in the industry were, getting jobs, waiting tables, I had cash in the bank. And it really shows that business and real estate, we used to say real estate was about 3 things: location, location, location. Well, what we learned in 2007, 8, 2009, 2010 is that it's not about location. It's about timing, timing, timing. And that's true for every relationship. It's true for every industry. And it's certainly true for real estate as well. I sold that company. I went on the professional speaking tour, wrote a lot of books, was on a lot of radios, TV shows, things like that. Eventually was recruited into what was at the time the largest real estate company in North America. And I was recruited the year globally for them the first year that I was with them. And they had a residual into it, but even though I was recruiter of the year, I never even made enough to make my mortgage payment. And some months it was, a couple of $100. So it wasn't enough to sustain any kind of a lifestyle. So I went back into sales, and to go back into that grind, I made a lot of money. I was top luxury listing agent in my office, but it was always get the listing, sell the listing, spend the money. Get the listing, sell the listing, spend the money. And most of us in sales can relate to that, right?
Yeah.
And it's just a grind. And I didn't ever see any way out of it until I was exposed to the EXP model. And when I first got a phone call about it, I wasn't open at all, simply because I was exhausted. Anissa, have you ever been so exhausted that you couldn't even think about doing anything different?
Yeah, you can't even listen. You're so exhausted. You hear the words, but you don't process the words, right? Even if you wish to. Absolutely. Right. Something changed, though.
I did slow down long enough to run the numbers that if I did the same production and recruited the same number of people into EXP as I did for my former real estate company, it would be about 19% more a year. and that would give me a nice little cushion. So when I joined EXP is a cloud-based brokerage. We're not virtual. We actually have a cloud campus, and our cloud campus at the time was, it was much better than Zoom, but that was kind of the only thing anybody could really relate it to. But it's actually the most interactive cloud-based campus in the world. So we actually do go to work in a real-life campus. You can just access it anywhere you've got an internet connection.
I've seen it. Yeah,
it's really cool, isn't it?
It's really cool. I go, what? This is like beam me up, Scotty. I totally get it. Star Trek. Totally why this also works. Totally why we're here. It's game changing. People have to, if it sounds too good to be true, they just have to reach out to, well, not me, you, but I've seen it. So it totally is rad. It's badass. So keep going. Sorry, I got excited.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and our cloud campus, the gentleman that created it, it's called Verbella, and it's as cutting edge as you can get. And it actually was created by a behavioral psychologist. So the whole concept of the cloud campus is how do we make people feel connected to each other? And it's very interesting, the psychology behind it. There's a lot of research that says whenever, like, for example, kids play video games, they want to play video games as avatars against their friends who are playing games as as avatars, as opposed to sitting across the table from somebody and playing a game of Monopoly like we did back in the day. And there's a theory that says the reason is because when we're avatars, we're the highest and best version of ourselves. So I always use the analogy, in Big Bang Theory, when Sheldon plays video games, he becomes Sheldor, and he stands up taller, and his voice is lower. And it really is true. And so everybody that comes into our cloud campus really comes from a place of contribution. It also allows us to use economy of scale. We have over 50 hours a week of live training classes that are hosted by some of the currently the best selling real estate agents in the industry. And because we can access that world anywhere we've got an internet connection, it allows us to build and grow and prosper in a radically different way. And it really shows us what is possible whenever we break the chains of brick and mortar. It's allowed Super Dave and I to build our business working anywhere, living anywhere, not being a slave to the office, and really be able to have a life of time and money freedom. On top of that, it's the best lead generation sources in the industry. So the number one reason, Anissa, that agents come to us is because they're going to make more money in their traditional real estate business. They're going to sell more houses. They're going to keep more money, and they're going to get stock in our groundbreaking company, whether they want it or not. And nobody's got a better story about the stock than Super Dave here. You want to enlighten them on that?
Let's pause really quickly. Super Dave, I want to talk about your stocks, but I wish to equally talk about Traci. You said so much greatness inside of there. Imagine the new real estate agents just getting out of school. They have no idea where to go. But let's be honest, even if you wish to play the game, you still need a teacher to teach you the game,
Absolutely.
Right? You still need a mentor to walk alongside you when you fall down and get a bruise or a scrape to say, keep coming with me, because not only do you have the educational, you'll have the emotional, I've been there, experienced it, to relate and connect and mirror and model. Mm-hmm. So for new agents, wow. And for them to really get not just in the school education, but in the field educated.
Absolutely.
That's what you're speaking to right now, is in the field educated with what's relevant and to what you're doing versus the textbook, what you're doing it for. And then even at your level, because this is a virtual platform, there's no stalemate. It's you keep growing because there's all kinds of different experts, not just in the real estate industry, but all kinds of industries. There was some on there, I'm very passionate about health and wealth, and there was some on there for health and wealth.
Absolutely.
That I saw, and I'm like, damn. So I don't know. Here's what maybe my hallucination. You guys have worked for other real estate companies and led other real estate companies. Where else have you been where not only can you get all this support online for new people to bring them a part of your community, alongside that, you have the ability to continue to support them as we started this with, because I'm all about, if you're going to play with the player, you support them as a whole player. You don't just support them professionally where it helps raise your standards. You support them personally, spiritually, financially, the whole gamut. And this is part of that growth gamut that, man, it's just a part of our human genetics that we all need it and want it. And I don't know any other company that can do that. I don't.
You're right.
If it's okay, I'll talk about the office just a little bit.
Yes, please.
So when the company was born, right, we were going through a recession in the market. And the founder wanted to find a way to be able to have connection and be able to lead without having bricks and mortar, right? And he had a team that was over a lot of distance. And so that put him on the path, which led us here. There's a couple of things. First of all, the average agent lives 22 minutes from their current office. right? And for the average guy, it takes at least a half hour to get presentable to go into the office, and the average woman cares far more
a
about
lot
what.
longer than that, yeah.
and so if you take the average time to get ready, the average commute time, and if someone went into the office on a daily basis, they're losing about a month's worth of productivity every year just going back and forth. And if there's, one person that has your answers, whether the office administrator or the broker or whatever, you may have to wait in line, and then you get sucked into the gotta minutes and grabbing a cup of coffee and those things, and you're not in the most productive state. What the office allows you to do is to log in, find the person that you need to connect with. And since there's about 500 plus employees between brokers, associate brokers, staff, and corporate team, you have dozens, if not multiple dozens of folks to be able to connect with to get your answer, so you're not waiting in a line. Right. I've been in during the peak. We have a little ticket, like a deli counter. The biggest number I've ever had was 3, and it was about 3.5 minutes before I was the next one to get help. Mm-hmm. And so very efficient. And if your mission right then is to be lead generating or helping your clients or being a great parent or partner, it only takes a moment to get what you need. You don't lose half a day. Right. Mm-hmm. And so I think that's very powerful. One of the biggest objections I would get in talking with folks is, I have to go to an office. I can't imagine not going to an office. Well, if you think about what happened in 2020, the government said, you can't go to an office.
Right.
And so things were shut down, and we thrived. We started the year with about 22,000 agents and ended the year with 43,000 agents. Right?
Game changing. And not just it, what that says is how many families you've changed the game for. Not just that player, but their whole family's future legacy, whatever you wish to call it, lifestyle has now changed. Now changed.
100%.
Would it be okay if I spoke about stock just a little bit?
I think that's a great idea.
And so anytime we talk about stock, I never want to get into price or, that kind of stuff. You can look it up. The stock symbol is EXPI. And, stock goes up or down based on people's perceived valuation of that day. I always encourage everyone to read the annual report, read the 10Ks, which are the quarterly filings. We're publicly traded. Everything is very transparent. We're audited every quarter. And so whatever's in there are the facts, right? So you should know the facts. However, one of the elements, what I call one of the 5 pillars, the main reasons why the company does so well, is Glenn came up with this concept to be truly game-changing, to make the agents part of the equity conversation. I talk to people all the time. They've been in the business, 5 years, and they're the number one agent in their office, or they've been in 20, 25, 30 years, and they're steady, and their customers love them, and they serve. And I ask them all the time, how much equity do you have in your company? Right? And it's usually nothing. Mm-hmm. And if it is some equity, it's a small piece of a local office, not of the overall brand. With EXP, agents are getting stock in EXP World Holdings, which is the parent company to EXP Realty and Virbela and Success Magazine and Showcase IDX and a lot of other business ventures, right? And so you get to benefit in all of that. But what Glenn wanted to do, and we weren't even publicly traded when I first came over. It was a concept.
Winner, chicken dinner.
Yeah. It was an intent, right? And Glenn just knows the space very well, and he was able to bring all of that here. And so we have a number of different ways that agents are awarded stock in EXP just by doing what agents do, right? Every year you do your first deal and you get a couple $100 worth of stock. If you produce at a decent level, you get another $400 worth of stock. If you happen to introduce a friend that is productive and they come over, there's even more stock. And then we have this super bonus for high producing agents called the Icon Bonus.
It's because it's after Super Dave, isn't it? Since a Super Dave.
So imagine this, right? And if someone's watching this and EXP is very dominant in the local market, then you may know the company very well. If we haven't expanded in that area yet, some people may say, well, I've never heard of it. Well, how valuable would it be if the top agent in that area came over? Everyone would go, wow, that company's making headway, right? Yeah. If the top 10 agents or 10 out of the top 20 agents came over, it would be a head turner, right? So those are iconic partnerships. And so Glenn came up with this concept that if you are iconic, you are going to receive a massive amount of stock, right? And if you go back and you do your history and you say, well, what was the stock trading at a year ago? If I got $16,000 worth of stock as my bonus, how many shares would I get? And if I went to sell it today, what would that be worth? And what if
I've done the math. I've looked clearly after I said I need to get my real estate license. Mamacita is a very smart business lady.
Amen.
I'm like, oh, crap. In what, 12 months? Seriously? Yeah. And I'm honoring your space, not talking numbers. I really would like to, though, because it will blow people.
Me too.
It's part of due diligence, right? Everyone should go and do that. And I've had people go, but what if it comes down? Well, on a daily basis, it goes like this and up and down, right? But the reality of it is more value for that agent than what they would have had if they stayed where they were. Right. Yeah. And so we're a real estate brokerage first and foremost. We're a real estate brokerage that values the agent. When I was new in the business back in 1984 or so, it was all about the broker convincing the agent that you would be nothing without me as the broker, right? I'm going to teach you the business. I'm going to show you my secrets. You're going to come to my training and I will make you successful. And really? I heard brokers more than once tell their agents, if you leave me, you'll never be successful, because the reason why you make money is because of me and my name and all of that. And so in the old days, it was all about leveraging the agent, right? The broker leveraging the agent. And the good business people and the folks with enough fortitude would go get their broker's license, and they would go out on their own and they would prove that they could do it. And then they would do the same thing. Right? A lot of them.
Of course.
And so this is the first time that I've seen someone come from a leadership position and have the mindset that the company is nothing without its agents. Mm-hmm. And so if that's true, then shouldn't the agents benefit from the upside of the growth of the company?
Right.
And the founder of this company, Glenn, Jason Gessing, the CEO of EXP Realty, was there in the early days. I got to work side by side with him for a number of years, and their hearts are always on how do we partner with the agents? How do we make sure the agents get their fair share, not just of a split, not just of a commission, but of what the real power is, right? And we talk about every agent who comes in, we get to benefit as shareholders. They're part of our family, right? We grew from 22,000 to 43,000, and just last week it was like 800 in 1 week, right? And so that adds.
Listen, don't miss the boat, y'all. If you're listening out there, don't miss it. Don't miss it. Clearly, you are hearing this game-changing opportunity in front of you.
Right.
Well, sometimes my grandma said it, you snooze, you lose. Early bird gets the worm, all that good stuff in life. It's time to get on the train or whatever it is. Join us.
And I think so much of it too, Anissa, is that because of our business model, we all have a vested interest in each other's success. So at your typical real estate company, very often, real estate agents kind of have a reputation for being sharks, and not wanting to help rookie agents and not wanting to help their fellow agents. It's almost like, well, if I help you, that's less for me. But because of our structure, we all have a vested interest in helping each other grow and prosper and succeed, because it drives up the price of our stock. It drives up the value of our revenue share. I mean, it's a radically different business model for people that are like us, that want to come from contribution and want to help other people grow and prosper and be the best versions of themselves. And as importantly, it gives real estate agents an exit strategy. So you can work really diligently in your real estate sales, but not have to work until you drop dead on somebody else's tile floor. And I think that's one of the things that attracts a different kind of agent to EXP. It attracts agents that really do want to nurture each other and love each other and support each other and create a win-win environment. It's just a radically different way of doing business.
It's freaking amazing. What you know is the more you give to the others, the more we all win from each other, right? Versus take from somebody and how much more can I get from somebody? And yes, I'm on the top of the food chain, but God, if I ever have to fall down, I'm going to crash and burn, right? This is the game changer piece of it is you're gonna, if you're in real estate, right? This is my, right? Because I'm in insurance and played with real estate forever, have 16 rental properties, 2 commercial buildings. So have done a lot of business as it relates to real estate. When I think about this model though, all these agents that have always sold me these business, all these properties, imagine them having sold those $1 million, right? Let's make it up. Let's say it's even 5 million, right? Let's make the number low. Yeah. And on that 5 million, they would have now had equity inside of their own business for what they already did, which is because they're a part of a family that cares to build the family up and lift the family up and give them a handout instead of like a lot of companies do. Let me give you a handout to see how much you'll give me back.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. So just
here it's really one of the concepts is to build a company within the company, right? And so I can come over and sell and do real estate transactions and support my friends and family and awesome lead generation and find new customers and all those kind of things, right? But in the old days, if I wanted to build something for myself and for my family, I'd have to leave this brokerage, go start my own, and start over again. With EXP, I can come over, I can produce to whatever level that I want, and the higher I produce, the quicker I get to the 100% plan, the more stock I receive, and all those things. I can learn how to build a team. And gain leverage that way, and not be fearful that if I train the people on my team that they're going to leave me, right? Because they can leave the team, but the company still rewards me for bringing them into the fold initially, right? And then in every other model that I've ever seen, I can only recruit people who are less than me, right? People who would look at me as the leader. To have my own little independent or that kind of thing, no one's going to follow me if they think they're as good or better than me. Right. In this system, they can be better than me, and most of them are. But the fact is they're joining a system, they're leveraging what we have in place, and we can still partner, and I still get rewarded. And that's really the game changer.
And you can't do it all on your own. You guys have been there. I've been there. I owned a business, man. You even, the minute you say teach, right, and build a team, it means you better have support. Because you can't do the job and teach them how to do the job and then watch them do the job without starving yourself in the beginning of a business model. And here you don't have to. There's a library, virtual library even, regardless of where people are, to get people started regardless of which level they are, right? Whether you're green in the industry or, well, in since the Reagan ages, right? Or the Clinton ages or the, right? Who cares? I'm like, who cares how long you've been in the industry? You can still get support and bring that community with you too, and know that the team will be there because you guys have been in it for so long. And the benefit is you guys are a beautiful couple, but because of the way this works, you guys came in under 2 different sets of leaders because the beauty of this model allows leaders to play together. And now look what you guys can give back to all of our listeners and to anybody that wishes to play with you. OMG, 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 right?
It's exciting to say the least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so let's talk about you guys to really bring it back so people do understand the model. You guys went from being in someone's office to owning your own, basically, brokerage offices, to saying, Traci, I heard you sell them, right? To Super Dave, I'm not going to share your story. I know it, but it's your story to be shared, right? To now, both of you guys are here. So this is truly game changing. It's not like you guys just came in and ate the soup or whatever, what's that called? Ate what was given to you and you go, drank the Kool-Aid. That's what it's called. It's not like y'all just drank the Kool-Aid. You guys truly had an experience before you jumped, right? It's like going into the NFL. Let's be honest. You know which teams you wish you'll play for, any if you have to, right? And it's better than not. But let's be honest, you still know which teams you would rather be playing on in it if you're going to be playing in it. And you guys left other people that were very, other people in the industry, very big, very reputable, good players, playing in the same league, but still not nearly playing at NFL level.
Well, what you said there, Anissa, is the key to people really understanding the opportunity. We could name any brand that's a household name today and go back to when it started and hear people say, I never heard of that, or I'm never going to wear that yellow coat, or, something about a balloon or whatever, right? And it wasn't until agents with credibility went to those brands, then those brands had credibility. The credibility of the industry seems to be in the branding, because that's what the parent companies would like you to believe. The real cachet is the agent. Very rarely does someone wake up and say, you know what, I'm thinking about selling our home, and I'm going to, go with some brand, right? It's just a logo. What they wake up and they go, Traci's the one that took care of us when we bought the house, or Dave's the one that we trust, right? Yeah. And so it's always the agent. And most companies wanted to make it about the brand. And some of them won't even let you have your name on a sign unless it's a little rider that's at the top or tagged at the bottom. Some companies, some high-minded companies, believe like EXP. It's all about the agent. It's the agent branding. Have your team. We've had brokerages come over that keep all of their images, all of their colors. They've been in business 30 years, and they just become brokered by EXP Realty. They're leveraging the back end of the services, and they're still the front end. That's their value.
Wow. Y'all hear that? Game changer. Breakthrough, right? If y'all are listening and you're a broker, I know y'all heard that. And if not, you should reach out to me, because I need to clear your mind. I need to dump what's up there, because it's hardware. It needs to be restored with some new software, clearly. So how did they get a hold of you? Because you guys have played in a long time, and I've had 3 people that I'm introducing. I got a plethora more. I just need
to. Honey.
I'm going to bring them in as a team. I'm just going to bring them in and go, okay, we're going to have 25 people on this call. Just talk to them, because I'm confident. I'm confident they need to hear the message. Right. Really, I have so many people that play in this industry, and they are playing the game the old way. And this is nothing new, but a new way of playing the game. Nothing is played. Sports, baseball's not played the same way. Football's not. I think everything has changed. Absolutely. So if they're in this industry playing the old way, and now they would wish to play the new way, and more than that, wish to tag team with someone that's played it done it, lived it, frontlined it, now leading in it.
Right.
It's you guys.
Right. You know, I tell people all the time, Anissa, that there's two different kinds of real estate agents that really benefit from EXP. The first one is the real estate agents that maybe they're new to the business. And statistically, for every 3 agents that get their real estate license, only 1 renews after the first year. I mean, the numbers are dismal. And it's simply because agents don't learn how to lead generate in an effective manner. I mean, there's still real estate companies out there that are teaching people to make cold calls. I mean, Anissa, do you answer the phone if you don't know who's calling very often?
No.
You know?
That's what
yeah, cold calling is a thing of the past. So for those agents that are new, or maybe those agents that are struggling, they're not making the kind of money that they need to make in real estate, we can give them a clear path and a clear roadmap to earn a strong, powerful living using the tools and strategies with EXP. And Dave and I, between the two of us, we've trained thousands and thousands of real estate agents. We know how to get agents up and running into production, making sales, closing deals. For many years, I ran the Fine Homes and Estates department for my office, so I understand how to help even rookie agents tap into that luxury market so they can make more and work less. Can I get a hallelujah on that? Who's for making more and working less?
And I am. Amen.
You don't have to be real smart, right? But for successful real estate agents, influential real estate agents, EXP offers them an opportunity to leverage their success, to pour back into real estate agents, to help and nurture new up-and-coming real estate agents, and benefit massively financially, and most importantly, get off of that hamster wheel that most real estate agents are stuck on. You know, after 3 years, I was able to have a life of total and complete time and money freedom, something that I wasn't able to do in 19 years before, even though I owned the 4th largest Century 21 office in the United States and ran the #1 Century 21 team in the nation and the #1 real estate team in San Antonio, Texas, one of the largest cities in the world. But it still wasn't enough to become financially free. So, you know, the question is always, how many more years do you want to stay on the hamster wheel? Yeah. And if your answer is 4 or 5 more years, then Super Dave and I can show you a path off of that. And the only way to succeed with our real estate company is to help ensure that other people are successful. You know, I love what Jim Rohn always said. The way to financial freedom is the more people that you can help get what you want, the more people that you can help get what they want, the faster you can get what it is that you want. And that's totally true with the EXP model. The only way to succeed and prosper is to help other people succeed and prosper. And it's just a beautiful way to serve.
Well, and Traci, thank you for that. And share with me, and my memory, if it serves me correctly, for new agents coming in, right, that truly need their hand held for a while, rightfully so, walking with them. I believe you said within 12 months you can have them in the $100,000 range, which means they would renew their license, because there's no way they're going to make $100,000 and not renew their license.
Right, exactly.
There's no way. They're not renewing because they got their license because school guided them through it. And then just like going to college, when they get into the real world, there's nobody to hold their hand through it. And that's what EXP does, is we do a lot of hand holding because we remember what it's like to have been there.
Absolutely.
And that's really what it comes down to. We've never forgotten that our feet are on the same ground as everybody else that's just starting out. And if we have a well of wisdom to create wealth for all, then it's our responsibility to share that wisdom with as many as we can. And you don't have to do it alone. Now there's a team to do it with, right? A team, because dream work and teamwork go together. And that's why people are failing, if you want to call it failing, or changing careers and thinking they didn't succeed. And imagine the mental turmoil that we don't talk about that comes attached to, I got my license, but damn, I couldn't do anything with it. Could you, or did you just not have the right team to support you to do something with it?
100%. 100%. If you've got the ambition and the drive and the brain power to get your real estate license, you've got the ambition and power and drive to succeed and to succeed in a big way. You know, it's very simply all about the model. Another great analogy that I love is, you know, let's say, Anissa, today you decided, instead of being the big influencer you are, you wanted to drive strangers around in your car. Well, would you go apply to work for Yellow Cab? Or would you go work for Uber and Lyft? So the reality is that nobody wants to work for Yellow Cab. Real estate agents are entrepreneurial by their very nature, and EXP gives them the foundation where they can succeed and prosper on their own terms, work with the kind of clients that they want to work with, work the kind of hours that they want to work, and build a life of peace and prosperity. And I just think that that's our mission from our Creator, is to help other people succeed in a prosperous and happy and powerful way.
And it doesn't feel like work. I heard you say, I do this all day long. This is kind of what I do all day long. And I'm like, shit, I could do what she does all day long. All I gotta do is get my license. I'm like, I got the gift of gab. Hence why I got this damn podcast, right? So I'm like, the ROI on this, I like this. And like you said, man, if you're going to do it anyway, why not do it with people that actually have fun doing it? Because you guys have fun doing it. And that's what we're really talking about. Is it work? Hell yes. Anything good has some type of effort. If you want to call work that, I'll call it effort, involved in it. It's a different model, and it gives you a different lifestyle. It's not that hamster wheel. It gives you that freedom, as you said. I tried to get a hold of you, Traci, yesterday. You know what she told me? Listeners, she said, can we text? I'm on the golf course. I'm like, what the hell is this? It's like in the middle of the day. Isn't she working? But she was.
Well, define work. I don't know if you can see it. So if you go to hammockbeach.com, you can see the magnificent community that Super Dave and I live. So this is our dining room view. Can you see that? That's the beautiful Atlantic Ocean. And that right there is the 18th hole of the Ocean Course, which is a Jack Nicklaus golf course, championship golf course. And that building right there, that's a 5-star restaurant. We had, you can't see it from here, but we took the elevator down and walked about, 200 or 300 feet to the pool bar and sat in the hot tub before we had our podcast for you. There's a sushi bar on the second floor of you take the elevator down to the second floor for the sushi bar. And on the first floor is an Italian restaurant. And so, the tagline for Hammock Beach is, vacation more and travel less. And we really do live that lifestyle because we have residual income. I mean, if you're going to have residual bills, you might as well have residual income, right?
Amen, sister. And that's why, that is why EXP is the only name I'll say today. I will equally say it is in a lane of its own, even though it's in an industry with many, because it's cutting edge. It is game changing, because the people like you guys are in it.
Yeah.
Right? Super Dave, let's bring it back to you one more minute before we wrap this up. You know what? We've talked about, Traci, you're like number 123, and Super Dave, you're like in another number. That's equally because the blessing again about playing with you is you've played on the corporate side too, to really support and understand how this works, so nobody can get in it and not understand it, because you built it. And when you build something, guaranteed you know how to explain it to another, how to wash, rinse, and repeat it. So let's bring it back to you and have you speak a little bit about that.
Yeah, so first and foremost, we're a real estate brokerage, right? Where agents can be successful and keep more of their money and get more benefit, like equity in the stock, right? But at the end of the day, to create leverage, you have to be able to build something, right? And that's what we teach people how to do. And I have people who will say, well, Dave, it sounds good, but I'm not a recruiter. Or it sounds good, but I don't want to recruit anybody. And it's not about that at all. For me, I always talk about a tractologist, right? And I got a little Tasmanian devil here.
Are you talking about Traci or the dog? Or both?
Mostly the dog.
No.
Learn the art and the science of being an attractologist, which is attracting what you want into your life, right? And so Traci and I each have developed systems that work fantastic in if I met someone who I thought would be a good candidate, a good partner, I want them to see the presentation, whether that's a video or coming to a live webinar that we would do. And so we can share that information with many people at one time, because hearing the information is what I call common ground, where we all need to know how the numbers work and how does the system work and all of those things. And so once we do that, now we can meet one-on-one for what I call the higher ground conversation. And this is really, how does it affect me? And here's my fear, or here's my concern. And this is what I need out of it. And those conversations are really the ones that help people make that transition. Mm-hmm. And so most people that I talk to who say, I heard about it before, it wasn't for me, and I ask them, what exactly was the part that wasn't for you? And they don't know. Right? Well, it typically comes back to how it was presented or mindset they were in when they heard about the info. And it always comes down to they did not figure out what the top 3 to 5 questions were for them. Mm-hmm. And if we can help someone get those out of their head and answer them in a way that they fully understand it, it always makes sense.
Yeah,
right?
It just didn't feel right at the time because they didn't have the answers they needed to make it feel right. And we act on feelings, not logic. And if someone's presenting 100% logical and you're not that space, you're like, and? Great.
Yeah.
So, okay, see you later. Right.
Good point.
One of my favorite things that I hear people say, right, is I don't want to change brokerages because I love my broker, which is wonderful, right? It is fantastic that someone is supporting agents in such a way where agents feel that sense of loyalty. The question that I ask is, do you love your broker more than your family?
Yeah. I would ask first what their broker's name and number, because I clearly have already said they can. Your broker can just join our team, and you don't have to leave him. The bigger, the better the family. I got it. Also, yes, yeah.
Well, and we do that all the time. I mean, we've had brokerages come over with hundreds of agents. Wow. Right. And some agents that come over are still looking for that, that mommy or daddy type feeling. And so they can operate that same environment here and essentially outsource the back end of the brokerage.
Right.
However, they'll also have agents performing at a very high level that will come over and be more independent within the EXP system.
Right.
And that really has transformed many brokers' lives. A friend of mine came over, and he went on vacation shortly after coming over. And he said it was the first time that he went on vacation and wasn't concerned that someone would do something to cause him to be out of business when he came back.
Oh, amen. That right there in and of itself, that peace of mind. Tell me what business owner doesn't seek that? And tell me what business owner doesn't wish to share that?
Right, right.
My God. You know what I mean? That right there. Meaning I was going to do it anyway, but now I got the support of another family that sees me, believes in me, and won't ever let me fail while I take a rest. Because even Jesus rested on the seventh, or whatever. The rest on the seventh day. I'm not going to get religious here. I'm just not going to go in that space. Okay? You got what I'm saying, right? What a beautiful story, Dave. Think about that. And okay, let's revert back. If you wouldn't say, hey, what's your broker's name and number so we can add him to our family, the bigger the better. Let's talk about, like you said, do you love your broker's family more than your family, right? Pretty much. Mm-hmm. And what do they say?
Yeah. So, if an agent's doing like average production, for the most part, we can put, $5,000 to $10,000 more back in their pocket. And I've had people say, but it's only $5,000 or $10,000, right? Well, that's not the truth. The truth is, if an agent is doing something to generate business, and they've learned to do the ROI, return on investment analysis, and they know, well, if I buy leads from this source or that source, or if I do mailers, or if I do open houses, or whatever it is, right? If I spend $1,000 on this, I am going to get this many sales, which means it has this return on investment.
Right.
And so if someone will go through that with me, right, and then I can put another $5,000 or $10,000 in their marketing budget, now they can generate another 8 or 18 sales a year. And if their average commission is $5,000 or $12,000, depending on their market, right? Now it's a massive difference. And now what would you do with that for your family? What vacation would you go on? How would you fund retirement? How would you plan for college education? What would your house look like 5 years from now? What would your debt situation look like? And you would have enough money left over that you could send some to your broker for Christmas if you love them that much. Right? But you can check in with your spouse or partner first before you write that check.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And my listeners, that is what is Business 101. Because what you might be talking about is some artists that got into the industry that are really being forced as a agent to be an entrepreneur, business owner, own every space, but they don't know how to operate in every space of the business. And the wisdom and the insight that you just said, Dave, was saying, yeah, it's $5,000 now or $8,000. And by the way, if you don't want it, what the hell is up with these people? I will take that $5,000. But, when you think about it and you go, yeah, it's $5,000 now. And in your model, honestly, Traci, it's like practically free. It's like $149 in the cell phone. I don't know any business model that's $149 in the cell model. And you have all of the stuff that we have spoken about today with building your business, leaders on your team that want to see you succeed and give you their time, because they don't win unless they give you their time and the information. Like it's insane. So how do our listeners get a hold of you? Right? How do they, obviously my listeners kind of know how to get a hold of me, but listen, all I'm going to do is redirect. So, that's... Sure.
Yeah, you can come straight to the source. You can go to my website, which is explodeyourcareer.com, or Realtor Exit Strategy, whichever one sounds best to your ears. I like the Realtor Exit Strategy one personally. They're going to take you to the same place, and you can fill out the little information form that goes straight to me and to my inbox. My cell phone number is on that website. It's 210-465-5275. And I would love, love, love the opportunity to connect with you, show you a little bit about what it is we're doing. We're in all 50 states. We're in Canada, Mexico, Portugal, Australia, the UK. Where else are we launching, or where are we already?
Well, we just this week announced open in Puerto Rico.
Yep.
We will be opening in the next couple of months in Hong Kong, Brazil, and one more, which escapes me. But where it should be another 9 or 10 countries this year, and it's really fast and furious. So, if you're in the sound of this video, we're either open or coming soon.
Yep.
So reach out, have the conversation with Traci, and explore the model, learn what the opportunity is. Ask great questions and listen to the answers. Do your due diligence before you say yes or no, and do the fiscally responsible thing for you and your family.
Yeah, good answer.
I love it. I love it. And man, I just need to study for that license, because I am confident this is a winning play, and I only play to win. So it's time, I guess, to get this license. That's a head scratcher. It might take.
Well, and it's easy to get the real estate license too. I can certainly help folks through the process of getting their real estate license. In most states, you can do all of the work online. Now you can even take, in some states, the state exam proctored. You can take that online too with a proctor looking over your shoulder. So it's easier now, in my humble opinion, to get your real estate license than it ever has been. In most states, you can do it for less than $1,000. And both Dave and I have helped rookie agents and people at the top of their game. So anybody in any space, we would be honored, and it would be a huge privilege to support any of your listeners, any of your wonderful team members in this life-changing and beautiful, beautiful profession.
And that's it. We got Traci and Super Dave here. We love you, listeners. Reach out to us. You know how to get a hold of us. Voila. Until next time. Ciao.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
This has been another episode of the Game Changing Podcast with your host, Anissa Acker. If today's episode has you stirred up with a fire in your belly, take action by subscribing and sharing this episode with a friend. And in the words of Rhonda Byrne, when we open our minds to the unlimited creative power, we call forth abundance and see and experience a whole new world. Go change the game.